Sometimes in the vintage business you get some real little gems, not necessarily valuable things, but really interesting things. Now someone brought this into my shop in Fulham. It's a fantastic thing. I thought originally it might be 60 years old. We did a little bit of checking on it. And well, first of all, let me show you what it is. It's a cape, but it's a real bit of explorer's kit. It's very, very big, and it's got lots and lots of skirt in it, so I think that's like to go over the back of the horse or the camel or whatever you are. There's a lot of space here. Let's just show you the table. Imagine, yeah, I suppose you could use it as a sort of sleeping bag as well. It's just a great big wrap around cape. It would be very warm. It's made from a 28 ounce certainly Scottish tweed, and I wondered about it, you know, who had it and where it's from, and there was just this tiny little label on the top which gave the name of the shop in the Strand. And a little laundry or maybe school label or something here which gave the name of the chap that owns it. I think it's W.P. Peel, I think. And we looked him up, and it, unbelievably, from just that faded old label, found this guy. First of all, the shop that sold it was a specialist shop to explorers, and it was sold 160 years ago. This is sort of mid-Victorian. And the chap that owned it, we looked him up and we found a guy who was a bit of an adventurer. I think he was also an MP and a barrister, quite a guy. I think he might be in the National Portrait Gallery or something. We got a lot of information, amazing, just from these two little labels here. And the guy that had the shop, the chap that had the shop, also wrote a book on durable clothing for explorers. So, yeah, it's amazing what you find out when you get bits of kit like this. It's an incredible piece of garment. I'm going to do a few little repairs on it. Got a little bit of moth damage here and on the collar here. But you see, it's an easy fix for this kind of thing. There'll be somewhere inside where I can rob some of the same colour material and just gently sort of weave it. It doesn't have to be a fantastic job. It doesn't have to be invisible, as long as you cover that hole in using the same cloth which you steal from the inside somewhere. Lovely bit of kit. And of course, designed I suppose for riding on a horse, somewhere where it's cold. But on the subject of riding, there's a few firms that just really impressed me no end. And some of the firms that are still like going now, let's take Moss Bros. Now up until the 1970s, they were high-end retailers. Interesting place, not many people know, but they had a sort of dead men's clothing department on the top floor in their Covent Garden shop. Only young army officers and young barristers seem to know about it. You get some fabulous old clothes going back to the 1920s, and especially formal wear, dinner jackets and morning coats. And up until the 70s, if you bought a grey hopsack morning coat, which would be a three-piece from Bros, it was super quality. It's all fallen apart since then. They went polyester and yeah, it's all downhill. But they also made a lot of riding kit. The British warm overcoat, the best ones you'll see were made by Moss Bros and Hawes & Curtis and Hawks & Co., particularly Hawks & Co. of Savile Row, before it was Geese & Hawks. Now this is a Moss Bros riding jacket, and this is a properly cut riding jacket, and I've actually copied the style myself. This is a riding jacket with what we call a full skirt. So let's just put it on, show you what it's like from the back. I mean, all jackets are basically hacking jackets, and if they've got a single bent they can use for riding. But if they're properly cut, this is just a little bit big for me. If they're properly cut, you've got quite a flared skirt on this, and should be quite deep vent at the back too. This is a properly cut riding jacket. And also the quality of the cloth, this is in a sort of keeper's tweed, which is probably 100% wool keeper's tweed. Modern keeper's tweed Has a little bit of polyester in it to help, just to help with the waterproofing. But this is about 28 ounce. It's indestructible. This one is from 1950s, I suppose. It's got an old 1950s Moss Bros label in. Super quality product. This is what Moss Bros used to turn out. They also had an exclusive heavy but soft tweed. Softer than a Super Sax. It's really nice, and I don't have to touch it to recognise it as that particular Moss Bros tweed. I don't think anybody else had this tweed. Now, apart from Moss Bros, we did a lot of riding kit. The market leaders by far were Harry Hall. Now this is a Harry Hall suit, and it might be my size. I might try and alter it to fit me. It's in cavalry twill. It's a jacket and trousers. 28 ounce, absolutely super stuff. There is a firm in Leeds which still makes this quality cavalry twill, but if anything it might only be theatre and film use these days. But this is the old label from the early 60s, and again Harry Hall now is just a brand, and they do sort of anoraks and things like this, but they made beautiful riding kit, elegant, beautiful riding kit. They started out, I remember buying old tailcoats, evening tails, from Harry Hall in Cheapside in the city, but at some time they've decided to go just into riding wear, and that was pretty much all they did. And this one is just a regular suit, but it's cut in the hacking style with a fairly deep vent out of super material. And I think we've got another one kicking. Yeah, here's this has been made obviously for riding. This was a very popular colour for riding. Again, Moss Bros in the same vent, really deep vent, full skirt, and that lovely old Harry Hall label. Just try this one on. It's about my size if I wear a jumper underneath. Yeah, I really like this. This kind of cloth, you buy one of these, you've still got it 50 years later, and it looks absolutely great. Now there's another firm, a tailoring company as opposed to a manufacturing company, who make absolutely fantastic quality riding kit. It's Frank Hall, up near Leicester somewhere. I have one of their suits. When I started manufacturing, I knew I had to equal people like Lambourne and Frank Hall and early Moss Bros, and I just happened to have this vintage suit, just great. It's absolutely my size, so this is staying in my wardrobe. It's a super quality jacket, three-piece suit. Yeah, this is just the best of English tailoring. Absolutely fabulous stuff. This tailor makes a lot of hunt coat. Now he does. This has disappeared from waistcoats. Decent tailors still put it in, the neckband at the back. My personal way of making things even better is to do a continuous neckband, which is a little bit wasteful on material, but it's the right way to do it. These beautiful lining materials, 100% cotton. Yeah, this is super cut pair of trousers, quite elegant tapered line on the trousers there. Fabulous cloth. This is probably John G. Hardy cloth. Again, sadly they've gone now, but I think it's called their Sportex range or something. Indestructible stuff, and even when it's worn out, it will still look great. Frank Hall, and where's his label? Let's get a look at that. Oh, let's find it in the. Here we go. Frank Hall. Perhaps the best in the country for this kind of kit.